Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast with Phil Graham. We help you master Facebook ads and give you an unfair advantage over your competition. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast, episode 307. I'm Phil Graham. Today, I'm going to be sharing 6 traits of successful advertisers versus failed advertisers. You want to be doing these 6 things that are common with the people that succeed in business and in ads, and you definitely want to avoid the things that people who fail do when it comes to advertising. And I tell you what, I've worked with so many people, different companies, entrepreneurs, and brands in many different industries and many different levels of ad spend. And these 6 things I've found to be very common amongst those who are successful. And I've also noticed a lot of things that are the opposite of these 6 that a lot of people who fail do. So these are really, really important. I can't wait to share them with you today because it really could be a game changer for you and your business. I hope you guys are doing really well. I'm so glad you're here. I appreciate your emails. I appreciate you guys leaving nice ratings and reviews on the podcast apps. And I just love doing this every single week. I really am doing it for you. I really, truly care. And yes, I do record these every single week. I don't batch record. I want you to know you're always getting recent, up-to-date information. And if you're ever looking for some extra help, maybe you want some one-on-one coaching so you can finally learn ads the right way, or if you want somebody to run your ads for you, either one of those things, just go to my website, philgrahamdigital.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital, and I would love to connect with you. So let's jump right in so you can learn the 6 traits that are common with successful advertisers, and you can avoid the stuff with failed advertisers that could cost you time and money. Trait number 1, successful advertisers typically don't freak out and turn their ads off really fast. There are so many failed advertisers that do this. They'll run an ad, and 2 or 3 or 4 days later, sometimes even hours later, they turn it off because they haven't gotten anything from it yet. And it's crazy. There's always a few exceptions here and there, but for the most part, you don't want to do that. You need to let your ad cycle through the audience and get some data and test it. I'll tell you this, when I look back at some of our biggest winning ads, and I mean big winning ads, some of them didn't do so well in the first couple days or even first week. There was some data I saw that led me to believe that it might do well if we keep it going. So I strategically kept it on. But I'll tell you what, most people don't know how to do that. And turning ads off way too fast or turning them on and off and on and off over and over again, it's probably going to hurt you way more than it helps you. So I always recommend let ads run for a while, get some data. Don't just turn them off too fast because that's what most people who fail do. Trait number 2, successful advertisers are typically doers. They're not talkers or just talkers, and they're not people that overly plan. So a doer is somebody that takes action. They run the ads, they create the videos, they evaluate the data, they do the work. Even things like listening to this podcast. You might be a doer because you're listening to this right now. And you'll definitely be a doer if you take action based off of this podcast. That's really important. There's so many people, though, that get stuck in the talking mode or the planning mode, and they wonder why they're not successful. You've got to be a doer. I could talk about basketball all day long and be the best talker about basketball in the world, but does that make me good at basketball if I get on the court? No, not at all. What makes somebody like LeBron good at basketball? Well, it's because he's played forever. I mean, he plays so much. He's on the court doing, and that makes a big difference. There's also people that overplan. Now, I like planning and I like being strategic, but a lot of people do it and they never get out of that stage. They are always planning. Don't let that be you. So, for example, I've had somebody tell me they were going to run a new video ad in a week. A couple of weeks go by and I'm like, hey, how did that do? And they're like, oh, I haven't launched it yet. I'm still trying to figure out the topic or the lighting or my hair or this or that. Like there's always a reason. 2 months later, it's still not running. They're stuck in planning mode. That's a recipe for failure. You want to be a doer. It doesn't mean just randomly put something up, but you don't have to take months to put something up. You should be doing it. You should be taking those actions. Also, people do this with ads themselves. Hey, I know I should run ads. I know I need to. I'll start next week or next month or at the first of the year or when this happens or when that happens. Guess what? It usually never works. They usually never start. They just keep putting it off over and over and over again. Just like the people who say they're going to go to the gym on January 1st, and then usually they don't, or they stop within weeks. Don't let that be you. When it comes to ads, take action, do the work, and you will put yourself in good company of successful people. Trait number 3 for many successful advertisers is they take smart risks on themselves and their businesses. Smart risks, not just random risks. They're strategic and smart about it, but they're willing to take the risk on themselves and on their business and bet on themselves and also invest in themselves and their business, whether that's having ads run for them or learning how to do it at a professional level themselves, or even spending the money to run ads. They're willing to do that because they know that they need that for their business. And that's even more important in a time like we're in now, where there's inflation, there's a possible recession, there's all these crazy things going on. And there's a lot of people that are making a big mistake. They're not taking smart risks on their business or themselves. And they're not investing in themselves right now when they should be, because that's one of the most valuable, important things that somebody can do. If you want more business, what can you do to get in front of your ideal audience? How can you get better at it? The people that are smart and successful at advertising will take those smart risks on themselves. They'll invest in themselves, even in times of inflation and all that stuff, because they know that that's what is going to help them the most. Don't fall into the trap of not investing in yourself or your business, because that can be very risky. Trait number 4 is most successful advertisers don't cheap out on things that really matter. So let me ask you a question. If somebody needed brain surgery, do you think they would look for the cheapest brain surgeon, or maybe even find somebody who's not a brain surgeon, but just a general doctor, because they would do it cheaper? Would that happen? Of course not. They would want to find the most skilled, experienced, best person who is an actual brain surgeon who's actually good at it to do that, wouldn't they? And I know your business and ads are not brain surgery. However, do you think your business is pretty important? Even though it's not quite as important as that, it's pretty important, isn't it? And there's not that many more important things than getting in front of your audience so you can promote your business and get more customers and clients. So it's crazy to me that so many failed advertisers trust agencies or freelancers who charge a tiny amount of money. There's a reason they charge a small amount, because they're not good at what they do in most cases. So whether it's a cheap course or a cheap agency, there's a reason. And it's only going to hurt you for most of you guys. You know, I always say this, but I don't know what the Lakers pay LeBron, but it's probably like $50 million a year. They could pay me $5 million a year instead and save $45 million. But guess what? They don't do that because they know they're not going to get what they want if they do that. So there's not that many more things that are more important than your business, your brand, and getting customers. So don't be like those people that cheap out on the things that matter. You know, if you want to be cheap, do it on things that are not as important. Cancel some subscriptions that you don't care about as much, but don't be cheap on things that actually bring you either customers or clients or awareness, or things that make you better and help you become more skilled. You definitely don't want to be cheap on that. And most people that fail are. Trait number 5, successful advertisers think about their ideal audience and their customers and clients more than themselves, more than they think about themselves. And their advertising and their website shows that. You know, a lot of failed advertisers think it's all about them, and they'll talk about how great they are, how cool they are, what car they drive, or any number of crazy things. But at the end of the day, what really matters is your customers, your clients. That's what's really important. And the common trait I've seen amongst successful people is they focus on their audience more than themselves. And they don't be a narcissist. They don't do any of that stuff. So think about how you can do that. And hopefully you're already being smart about it. But if you're not, think about what can you do to focus more on your ideal audience, what they're thinking and feeling, and how you could help them with whatever it is you sell, whether it's a product or service. And have your ads show that. Because if you do that, you're going to be joining a club of highly successful people that do that on a consistent basis. And last but not least, number 6, successful advertisers usually relentlessly tune out all the noise and all the time-wasting things that are out there and avoid that. They focus on what really matters. They use data to make good decisions. They avoid scammers. They upskill themselves. They educate themselves, and they stay focused. It's easy to say. It's not always easy to do, but when you do it, it can really help you so much. My friends, I hope that you guys really focus on these 6 traits because they've helped me so much and so many people that I've worked with and others. They're so important. Episode 307 is in the books. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you do want to get in touch, philgrahamdigital.com is the website, or you can DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital, and I will talk to you on next week's episode. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast. Please remember to subscribe and share this with all your friends. For show notes, more tips, and to learn more about Phil, please visit philgrahamdigital.com/podcast.